Good morning. Please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Happy Thursday. Here's Charlie with today's announcements.
Good morning, everyone. Today is Thursday, September 4th, and it's a white day. Tomorrow, we will be having our first pep chapel of the year. All students and advisors should report directly to the alumni gym by 7:55 a.m., so not here. Attention Hills students, if you are invited to a planning meeting during C Block today in the Mayo Lounge. If you have a class at this time, please attend your scheduled class. However, feel free to drop by during your lunch if you can. Students with C Block free, we would greatly appreciate your assistance. We will be finalizing plans and starting preparations for the Hills event happening on Saturday, September 20th. For any questions, please check in with Mrs. Angel or Mr. Levitt. Student government will meet right after school today in Fuller Basement. See Mr. Ryan or me with any questions. Photography X Block is canceled today and will resume on Tuesday. If you are signed up and have any questions, please email Mrs. Fox. We invite you to join the Christian Fellowship Group for prayer, conversation, and Bible study every Monday morning at 7 a.m. in the Fuller Basement, starting next Monday, September 8th. Whether you're seeking to connect with others who share your faith or are curious to learn more about Christianity, everyone is welcome. If you have any questions, please feel free to speak with or email Mr. Levitt. If you have an interest in esports, please plan to meet Mr. Yates and Mr. Ford immediately after school by the Barn Residence Hall. Happy birthday today to Inaku, Pablo Elizondo Willis, Ege Sabez, Kenyon Sorrell, Colton Evans, Brady McQueen, and Claire Troano. Happy birthday. A lot of birthdays today. Okay, so for today for sports, we have boys golf at J Peak at 4. Please release a team at 1:30. Girls golf at Links at Lang Farm at 4. Please release a team at 1. Varsity and JV field hockey at CVU at 4 and 5:15. Please release the teams at 1. And JV boys soccer, home versus Thetford at 4:30. And that's it for announcements. Have a great day.
Thanks, Charlie. A few late announcements. The boys JVA soccer team tied Mount Mansfield on Tuesday 1-1 in a well-played game by all. The varsity girls soccer team lost a hard-fought game against Colchester yesterday. After trailing 0-3, they came back with 2 goals from Avery Gelwicks. The JV team also lost to Colchester 3-2. Riley Barrett scored twice for the team, converting on a penalty kick. And the boys golf team took second in their first home match of the year. Mario Alvarez finished second individually with a score of 4 over par. Congratulations to all our teams. And a couple additional late announcements for you. First, I want to take a moment to acknowledge a faculty member, Mr. Rowling, who's a new faculty member up in the balcony. Joined the St. Johnsbury Academy community after 20 years of military service in the Navy. And on August 31st, just a few days ago, Mr. Rowling officially wrapped up his service to our country. So I want to take a moment to acknowledge that service now. Thank you, Mr. Rowling, and congratulations. The second bit here this morning is that you've likely heard from your advisors and other adults that you need to have your student ID visible during the school day, particularly between the hours of 7:45 and 3:20. We know that you need your IDs to access campus buildings and to get into the to get your lunch in the cafeteria or make purchases in the cafe. But I want to make sure you understand beyond just accessing buildings and getting food, why having your ID visible is important, and that's really about safety for all of us. So IDs help students be more easily visible to one another and to adults. And adults with prominently displayed IDs can help make sure that students know who they can ask for assistance if they need it. I want to thank you for understanding the importance of it, and please certainly let us know if you need any support in helping to figure out how to remember that. We have lots of lanyards in our office. I have it on good authority. Ms. Higgs is ordering some badge reels, so we've got a couple of ways to support that, but thanks very much for understanding why that's important. And now, I'm going to welcome our chapel guests this morning. Please give a round of applause to Mr. Uri.
Morning. So when Ms. Hanson asked me to talk this morning, I was wondering about how this was going to work and how it was going to look for me to present in class. And so I'm hoping Mr. Ford and I hooked this up before chapel, so hopefully it will work, and it won't really work too well unless this does work. So, Mr. Ford, is there anything I need to do? He did say it was very finicky, right? And so we'll certainly see how this goes. But one of the things that I have thought about is what would I say if I were talking in chapel, like for chapel talk. And so there's certainly a lot of things that I could talk about in the experience that I've had here and the life that I've lived. And so I do think that it's important it's important for me to think about the things that I can talk about. I could talk about my granddaughter, who's 2 years old and who's just the reason I come to work every day, and so I can be done and go and hang out with her. I could talk about my animals, right? My dog and my cat, Opie. Any of my former students remember what my dog's name is? Hazel. Jada, nice job. So Jada, you should get some candy for answering that question correct. Nice job. Good memory you have there. So nice job, Jada. I could talk about my wife, right? My wife of 32 years, and also my granddaughter, right? And so I could talk about those things, or I could talk about my other love, the dress code. So I thought, how can I do this in a way that, just sort of shows my love of the processes that we have? And so we're going to have a dress code quiz. Okay, so this again, you saw the candy out there, so we're going to have some answers, questions, and then you can answer, and then whoever answers it quickly will get a prize. So Mr. O'Brien has agreed to help me, and Charlie's also over here helping. So here we go. Collared shirts need to be right here. Buttoned. Collared shirts need to be buttoned. There we go. Nice job, right? So it doesn't need to be all the way to the collar, just comfortable, right? They just need to be buttoned. Crew neck sweatshirts and quarter zips are great, but they need a what? Who said collared shirt right there? Right here. Nice job. So crew neck sweatshirts and quarter zips need a collared shirt underneath. You can't just come in with a quarter zip or a crew neck sweatshirt with a t-shirt underneath. God forbid if it gets to be 85 today, you're going to get hot, take that off, and you only have a t-shirt. So we want you to have a dress code shirt underneath. Logos. How big can they be? Oh, who said 2 by 2 back there? Who do we got? Logos on clothing can be 2 by 2, right? So again, whatever that is, as long as it's an appropriate logo, right, can be 2 inches, nothing larger. Dress pants are in, right? But you cannot wear blue jeans and cargo pants, right? So again, you cannot wear those. Did anybody get that answer? Who did it? Who did it? Right here, right down here behind Mr. Holden. Okay, so again, nice job. Here we go. Next one, hair length is universal, but the hair must be. Charlie, did you see who answered that one over there? Right there in the corner, I think. Right, raise your hand right over there. Yeah, right there, okay? Must be out of your eyes, right? So you have to keep the hair out of your eyeballs. Students are allowed facial hair, true or false? Ooh, you should all get one there. False. Students need to be clean shaven. Good job. Dress sandals are allowed. Does that include Birkenstocks? Yes, Birkenstocks are allowed. Nice job. Mr. O'Brien, do you see that over there? We do not, nice, you should get one. No beach sandals, right? No Crocs, no slides, or flip-flops. Hooded sweatshirts and hats? Must be taken off in the buildings and in class, okay? So, thank you very much for your attention. It was a very quick little quiz there. Nice job. If you have any questions, you can always stop by Student Life and ask any of us. I appreciate your time. Have a great day.
Thank you, Mr. Uri. I don't know how many of you listen to the music that plays before chapel, but it's always one of my favorite parts of the day. And today, the third song that I heard when I was in here was Here Comes the Sun by the Beatles. And I need you to know that the chapel talk that I've had written in a folder called Chapel Scraps for a year. And so I finally decided I was going to show you how dorky I am and give you this chapel talk. And Here Comes the Sun was the third song that played. So with that, here's my chapel talk. I really love music. I have since I was a child. My dad played drums in a band, and there was always music on in our house. So from the time I had my first tape player until now, I've always loved building playlists for road trips or for people as gifts. Of course, when I really got into playlists, I was a teenager, and at that point they were called mixtapes. Saying this just made mixtapes the musical equivalent of when I was your age, we used to walk uphill to school both ways in a snowstorm 7 days a week. But playlists used to be really cool when they were known as mixtapes. Born of my love of music many, many years ago, I decided to see how one song could frame my school year. So I planned to play one song every single day on my way to school from August until May. And it was among the best, worst ideas I've ever had. I set parameters for how I'd pick the song. I wanted it to have lyrics. I wanted it to have no emotional connection to my children. And I didn't want it to be by any of my top 5 favorite artists. Since I was going to listen to the song every day on the way to school for a whole school year, I decided it should be something more than one artist had recorded so that I could also listen to covers. I spent several weeks picking the song. When I told people what I was going to do, their response was similar and appropriate. Why? I didn't have a great explanation. Maybe it was because I was an English major and then became an English teacher, so I love analyzing things and thinking, some would say, too much about meaning. But this time it really wasn't that deep. I just wondered what would happen if I listened to the same song every day on my ride to work. So a day or two before school started, I settled on a song. I chose a track by the original boy band, the Beatles, and the song was Here Comes the Sun. Here Comes the Sun from their Abbey Road album. It was written by George Harrison, and the song, for those of you who don't know it well, is actually pretty lovely the first 100 or so times you listen to it. What I didn't know at the time was the larger story behind the song. In 1969, George Harrison was going through one of the most difficult periods of his life. Because of everything he was dealing with, he decided to skip a business meeting and went instead to friend and fellow musician Eric Clapton's house. While walking around the garden with an acoustic guitar, he wrote Here Comes the Sun. That song has over 1.6 billion plays on Spotify. I'm only responsible for a few of those. More than any other Beatles song. So, starting in August, from what I thought would be August to May, every time I drove to work, I listened to Here Comes the Sun. About 85% of the time, I listened to the Beatles version, because it was, after all, their song. The first month or so was good. I learned the words, I listened to try to figure out what the song was about, I wondered about the musical choices they made, and to be clear, since I have zero musical training and I cannot sing or play an instrument, that was intellectual work for me. The next couple months, I turned to covers. The song had been covered by hundreds of other artists across multiple musical genres. Listening to covers, as it turned out, was a solid move and a good distraction. On Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I listened to covers, and I listened to the original on Tuesday, Thursday. Listening to how other artists engaged with the song gave me new things to think about. Why did some artists stretch out certain lyrics when the Beatles hadn't? Or why did a single voice backed by only a piano make the song feel impossibly sad? But just as the long, cold, lonely winter started to set in, I got really sick of listening to that song. Listening to Here Comes the Sun when I was driving to work in the dark of winter started to feel like a lot of work. But still, I committed to 3 minutes and a few seconds of showing up every day on my drive. I made the mistake at some point of telling my colleagues about my experiment, and they were confused. I know this because occasionally when someone asked if I was still listening to that one song, they'd say things like, "No, but really, why are you doing that?" And it was a great question. Why was I doing that? I listened to Here Comes the Sun every day on my way to work from August until the third week of April. 3 weeks shy of the end of school, I finally cracked. I didn't turn the song on. I just wanted to ride to work in silence, convinced my arbitrary commitment had run its course. You know what happened about 2.5 minutes into my drive? I found myself singing Here Comes the Sun. Not humming, not half remembering it, singing, full voice, every word. Whether I wanted it or not, after months of force-feeding myself that song, cursing my own stubbornness, only to quit when I was this close to seeing it through, that song had quietly become a part of me. And so, here's to moments when you may pleasantly surprise yourself. Sometimes the things we think we're forcing ourselves to endure becomes part of us in ways that we never expected. Sometimes what feels like an arbitrary commitment reveals something deeper about persistence, about showing up, about how meaning develops, not in grand gestures, but in small daily acts of attention. And sometimes when we finally give ourselves permission to stop, we discover we don't actually want to. With that, I wish you a really great day, faculty.